Welcome to this tutorial on making one row buttonholes. I really like this method because it means that you can use any number of buttons you have of any size and, as you can see here, of any shape without having to do any math or changing the pattern whatsoever. I tend to have lovely sets of buttons that I either purchased or lovely friends have given me, and I have like a separate a set number of buttons, and I like to just use them all if I can. So in this cardigan that I made quite a while back, I had a set of 6 buttons that went together that I wanted to use. So I pinned all my 6 buttons onto the cardigan, and then I made one row buttonholes to fit them all on it. So as you can see, not only the buttons are of a different shape. I've got circle, square and a triangle, but they're also of slightly different sizes. You can see it with the reflection. The triangle is a little bit bigger than the square, and the square is actually a little bit bigger than the circle. So to start your one row buttonhole, first you're going to figure how many stitches your button actually takes. So I would have put my button and put it on top of the button band that I've already done, not the one with the buttonholes, but the first button band, and then just calculated how many stitches that the button does take. This one took just about 6, so I made a 5-stitch buttonhole. Always make it just slightly smaller than the button. It'll guarantee you a nice fit. This is my 5-stitch buttonhole. You can see why I like this method. It is great. It really gives you a really nice, sturdy buttonhole. Sometimes people ask if I've actually gone around and sewed the edges of my buttonhole, and I really haven't. This is how it is when you make it. It's just a lovely buttonhole that is sized exactly to the button that you want to use. So you can make this anywhere on your button band, to fit any number of buttons that you want to put, and again, any size. They don't all have to be of the same size or the same shape, but the method is the same. This is just another example on an older cardigan that I made quite a long time ago. This was a Carol Feller pattern, and this is when I first discovered the one row buttonhole. I think she has good tutorials on this as well, but this is just to show how I wanted to use slightly different. These are very old now, a different number of different sizes of buttons, and I had however many of these and however many of these, and I used them all. You can't see, but they were nicely hand painted. They're just so old. You can see I'm missing one, but this is actually how they look like when I first put them on. And this is how old this cardigan is. But you can see that the idea is that you can put them anywhere and make them fit your cardigan. So the first thing you do is, again, you establish how many stitches your button takes across the button band there, and mark that on your knitting. If you are knitting the Canna cardigan from issue 8 of the Journal of Scottish Yarns, this is where you'll be when you are ready to work your buttonhole. So when you work your buttonhole, again, you can do this one row buttonholes on any stitch pattern. I've just chosen a knit 2 purl 2 here just to show you that you can really adapt it to anything. So you will have marked the position of your markers. So here of your buttons, sorry. So here I've got a 4-stitch buttonhole to make, and here I have got a 5-stitch buttonhole to make. I'm going to show you how to do that. So you first work in pattern. You should have an established pattern by the time you are ready to make a buttonhole row. So work in pattern to your first marker. So I'm doing knit 2 purl 2, knit 2 purl 2, and I've just come to my marker here. So I'll take the marker away, and this was a purl, so my yarn is already at the front, but if you're knitting, move your yarn to the front, slip the first stitch, then move your yarn to the back. It's a bit awkward in my wool. There we go. Then you are now going to slip the next stitch and pass the first stitch that you slipped over this one. Like this. We're going to do this again all the way until we reach our second marker. So slip the next stitch and pass the former slip stitch over and off. You're basically casting them off. I've got one more. Slip and pass the former slip stitch over. Just like this. I've now come to my marker. Keep that marker in here just now and transfer this remaining stitch back onto your left needle. Now turn your work. And all you need to remember is that because this is a 4-stitch buttonhole, we're now going to cast on 4 stitches. You always cast on the same number of stitches as your button, as the size of your buttonhole. So to cast on these stitches, because I'm on the wrong side here, I like to do them as if to purl. So I go into the stitch, purl, and put the stitch on. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. I've cast on 4 stitches. Turn the work again. And now all we do is we slip the last stitch of our buttonhole here. We slip that on the right needle and we pass the last cast on stitch over that remaining stitch. Tighten it a little, and this is our buttonhole. Now you can just move that marker. That buttonhole here is made. It's a lovely buttonhole. That's it there. It's sized onto 4 stitches. So now you work in pattern. Here I'm working in rib, so it's knit the knit and purl the purls until I get to the next marker. My next one is a 5-stitch buttonhole, just to show you that you can do it anywhere and of any size really. So work in your established pattern, whatever that is for your button band. And it can even be placed in between, a repeat. So for example, here I'm onto a purl one, and my buttonhole starts before I can purl the next one. That's fine. So tick off that marker. Now start your buttonhole. So I'm going to slip the first stitch. My yarn is already at the front. If not, you bring it to the front. Slip the first stitch, move my yarn to the back, and now I'm going to slip a stitch, pass the former stitch over. I'm going to do that until I get to the second marker. Slip the next stitch, pass one over, slip, pass this one over, slip, that's my last one, my marker is here, slip, pass this one over, keep the marker on here, and then just simply transfer that one remaining stitch back onto this needle. Now turn your work. This was a 5-stitch buttonhole, so now I'm going to cast on 5 stitches. So I'm going to do this as if to purl, just simply because it's on the, I'm on the wrong side. So I'm going in as if to purl that stitch, put it on. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Once you've got your number of stitches cast on, we turn the work again. And now all we've got to do is slip that last stitch before the marker, pass the last cast on stitch over it, tighten that, and take off the marker. And that's another buttonhole here made. And then just carry on in pattern. So that's what I said, there's no counting or anything. I can just see my next stitch here is a knit. So I carry on in pattern. I'm going to do the next row just so you can see that it will fit within your established pattern without you having to do any change to it, simply because we've actually cast on the same number of stitches of the ones that were cast off, so we're still back in pattern. So I'm going to knit my knit and purl my purls. So I'm doing knit 2, purl 2. I'm just going to switch to continental here, so it'll be a bit quicker. So knit, knit. These are my cast on stitches. Purl, purl, knit, knit, and you see I'm back on to purl. Then I carry on, knit, knit, purl, purl, then knit, knit. These are my buttonhole stitches. Purl, purl. They're not in pattern, so I just have to carry on with my pattern. Knit, and my next stitch here is a knit, and then purl and purl, and then you would continue working your button band in pattern until you cast it off. But your buttonholes are now done. They're here. They're lovely, nice, big buttonholes. Obviously they're big because I'm using this really chunky yarn, but you can see this is how you get a really good buttonholes placed wherever you want them and sized to whatever size of button that you want to use. Enjoy!